Kindly unmute yourself.
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Santa, for sharing. I think for us, similar to what Santa said, you don't really plan it. You don't really decide I want to be an entrepreneur, even though some people get the opportunity to do that. But for people like us, we saw a problem, we saw a gap, and we decided to fill it. So at the time when we arrived in China, I went out to interact with the Chinese community. At that time in Beijing, I decided to go out because I'm out also a social person. I like going out and engaging the community and being involved in the community. So at the time when I went out around Beijing, I saw that I was the only person who came from the continent. The Black people you see in those kind of spaces were from African Americans or Londoners or Paris people. So these were not like people who come from like Cameroon, have stayed in Cameroon, have grown up in Cameroon. So you didn't find people who were like you. So I think seeing that gap made us to decide to close that gap. And that is what led us to start Diapa Africa, to also mobilize Africans in Beijing, bring them out, and let them be involved in whatever is going on socially, economically, and other opportunities. So this is how we started off. And as you start, you realize that there's more to do and there's opportunity, and opportunities keep coming. And that is how we were able to come to this stage. And now we kind of can put names around things. But at the time when we started, you didn't know anything, you couldn't describe anything. But now, as you keep working, you could meet the word entrepreneurship, you could meet several things, and that's how the journey has been for us. Thank you.
Absolutely lovely. Now for you, I have seen the key takeaway is you saw a gap or a problem and you wanted to fill that gap. That's very lovely. Just to let you know, we are live on Facebook. If you want to join us on Facebook as well, or share and tell your friends we're live, please go ahead. Now we'll move on to Joanna. Joanna, please tell us what made you decide to venture into entrepreneurship. Kindly unmute yourself, Joanna.
Sorry. All right. So basically for me, I had also just come from the corporate sector. So basically I used to work with the bank as an operations executive. And in working there, I felt like I had so much potential to do more, but I felt like I wasn't doing so much whilst working there. So I took a work break for about a year just to explore what exactly I would love to do, something that I'm really passionate about and something that really brings me full satisfaction in my everyday life. So basically through that year, I took also a learning journey just to understand what exactly am I really passionate about, of which later on, eventually I discovered that I was very passionate about youth development and at the same time, community development as well. So also working in that aspect, I was like, okay, so what exactly are youth facing as challenges that are really could be something that I could also align myself to. So at the same time, I was also trying to set up a business, a consulting business in events management. Through which I figured that yeah, so basically I figured that throughout my journey, I was also lacking a lot of skills in starting up that business. And that made me now eventually start understanding what exactly do fellow youth face when they're starting up businesses. And I discovered, well, there's a lot, including lack of affordable working space, for instance, lack of a community where you can just be a part of and share knowledge, a learning platform that could give you those important skills that could build both your personal development and enterprise development. So eventually that really drove me to say, if my community doesn't have such a platform, why don't I actually set up something that could both give me a learning platform and also give my fellow young people a platform that they can utilize and be able to grow and become better at what they do.
All right, thank you so much, Joanna. So if you have noted, Joanna spoke about her finding her passion, just doing something that she'd be really passionate in and something that would give her satisfaction. So that drove her to entrepreneurship. So I think you can see from all the three speakers, they have highlighted many facts about why someone would want to go into entrepreneurship, be it solving a problem, be it doing something that you're passionate in, be it driving change. Surely this is something that is actually a good thing. So moving on, I want to direct this next question to Musa. So Musa, you started Duapa Africa Group in China in 2018 while you were still a student pursuing your master's degree. Back then, how did you know that it was the right time to start?
Oh, thank you. That's a good question and a difficult one as well. I think, like you said, when you see a problem and you see that you can't do something about it, sometimes you don't see challenges. You only see the opportunities and what you can do. And at the time also, the Beijing environments, for those of you in China, you know that the environment is very entrepreneurial, it's very innovative, there's a booming startup community and all that. So we saw that even as students, we saw an opportunity that we could fill. And it was difficult because you have to study. And if you look at the type of school some of us went to in China, it's the school that wants you to sit down 24 hours and learn and come to class, and they are checking attendance and all that. But you need to make decision, and you need to make a commitment to something. And for me, that's one of the things that we made at that time, that even though this thing will cost us our finances that we didn't have at that time, it will cost us the time that we didn't have, it will cost us the energy that we didn't have at that time because we were students. But we were so also committed to the change and the window of opportunity that we saw, that I think this is the right time, because we saw a space that is empty, and moving into such space, the level of maybe the chances of failure is also reduced at a bit, and you also tap into your experiences and your capacity. Let me say, put it that way. If you know you have the capacity or the expertise or the network that could play to your advantage at that time, there may be other, you have other challenges. I think this way, some of the two sides of it, the challenges and also the opportunities that we have, and then the resources that you could also leverage on. So by putting this together, it proved that even as students, we can do something. But yet again, let me say that not without those sacrifices, not without having to miss some classes, not without having to negotiate with the TAs on time to submit your assignment and group works and all that. You need to know that you face those things as when you take on those journeys. So it's being aware of what it takes and what you need to sacrifice. And if you are courageous enough to sacrifice what you have to sacrifice and go for the opportunities and then the advantages that allows you to go. So for me, yes, the challenges were there as a student. The finance were not there, the time was not there, the energy was not there. But looking at the opportunity and also the few other resources that we could capitalize on. And the urgency, it was, because at that time it was urgent, because when I went out and I saw that, how can we come here, stay in school, and go back to Africa without having interacted with our community, without having picked something tangible beyond our certificate from China. So this was for me urgent because I have 2 years from my master's. So if I wait and finish my master's, then I'm coming back to Africa. Haven't done nothing about that. So even though that time we were still in the first year, but we took that advantage to say, let's start, even though we don't have much. But looking at measuring all those other factors, it was a good timing and it was exciting to start at that time. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Musa. Now, to give you a bit of context about Musa, Musa went to Tsinghua University, which is the best university in China. And I also go to Tsinghua myself, and I wonder how Musa did all that and handled a successful business throughout. So maybe you can talk to us about that some more. So basically from Musa, he has told us that you need to see the opportunity and seize it. And you may have to have some capacity, resources, and opportunities to start, and you will need to sacrifice maybe your time, your money, and any other resource so that you're successful. Thank you very much for that, Musa. Now we'll move on. This is for Joanna. So Joanna, when starting a business, one of the things to consider is whether you have a co-founder or not. Based on your own experience, what are the pros and cons of starting a business alone versus starting with one or many co-founders?
Okay, thank you, Brenda. So basically, starting a business with either a co-founder or alone has both its advantages and disadvantages. I think for me, on a personal basis, I haven't really had a very good experience with having a co-founder. So when I was starting, for instance, my journey with setting up the hub, I did start with a co-founder. And it was quite amazing because we both had a diversity of skills and knowledge that we brought into the organization, which was good. And even the academic side, he was actually coming in with a different background. I also had a different background, which could all be blended into something that could bring positive change within the company. But then now when it comes to having a similar vision, sometimes you will not get the same alignment, whereby I want something different to happen in the next 5 years or the next 10 years, or how I want to build the company. And then you find that the other person has a different vision, and then that becomes a problem. So in setting up a company, it's always very important to understand why exactly you feel like you need to have a co-founder, and what are the gaps that are actually driving you to actually have a co-founder brought into the company. For some cases, it's because of the diversity in the skills and knowledge, mainly because you can have it all. You can't be that person that knows how to do everything. So it's always important to either bring in someone who's going to fill in that gap. So if you also feel like it's not very necessary, then you might as well just set up a team, which is also quite very okay. You don't always need to have founders when you can actually employ other people to come into the organization. So basically, some teams mainly just understand what exactly is the vision of the organization, and then also what you have as a vision, a personal vision, basically. And also the other person, what is it that they want to see happen, that they are aligning to the company, that is going to help all of you drive that to be able to be achieved. So basically that's the first thing. And then the second thing, you need to really understand what sort of skill sets do you all have? Is it something that you're basically all coming from the same background, and then you're not really having a difference in terms of everyone is all communications, and then there's no one who's doing something different? Because basically that will help you guys also build the team that comes in better when you actually have an understanding of what sort of skills you have and also your co-founders. So also basically you need to share roles as you come into the organizations as founders. So who's going to be the CEO, or are you also going to play where someone is a CEO and then there's a co-CEO, because sharing roles can also bring in tension at times. So it's quite very important to look into all those aspects to say, if we're going to have a team of founders, who's going to get what, who's going to get what, who's doing the advisory role more and who's not doing the advisory role more, and who's passionate about what exactly that can really be driven rightfully than just leaving it like that, because then it will bring in a lot of negativity as you make progress. So these are the few tips that I can give, but it's both positive and negative. So basically, it's a decision that you make as a startup founder. If you really need to have a co-founder, you can go with it. If it's not very necessary, it's always important to build a team that is really going to support whatever you want to achieve within the company. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Joanna. So what I've gotten from you is having a co-founder or doing business alone, they both have the advantages and disadvantages. Of course, when you have more people, there's broad skills which can be blended. But at the end of the day, we all need to ask ourselves, why do we really need the co-founder? Thank you very much for that, Joanna. Now we'll move to Santa. Hi, Santa. Kindly unmute yourself.
Okay. Hi.
All right. So, Santa, among all the panelists, you're the one who has started your business the most recently. What, according to you, is the hardest step in putting that entity together?
Definitely starting. That's a guaranteed hurdle you have to combat, and usually just starting stems from fear, and the
For all the other participants, kindly mute yourself. Kindly mute yourself. Sam, I think we may have lost Santa a bit. A short while.
Сука, где басы, блядь?
Santa, do we have you here? Okay, I think we may have lost Santa there a bit, but it's okay. We can come back to her. Now, this is for Musa and Joanna.
I
Just give us some time to sort this mess over here.
okay. What the hell?
Randa,
Fuck you!
What?
Dial, kindly remove the participants who are not participating here.
Yes, I'm actually doing that, but I think there are these weird things that are joining. So I'll do my best to try and put everybody else that wants to join in the waiting room.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
This is weird.
Sorry about that, everyone. Okay, we have Santa back.
Sorry, guys. I just went off. Yeah.
It's okay.
So, okay. Can we proceed?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay. So the hardest thing for me was just starting because of a number of factors, and the major one being fear, and trying to start off as a perfectionist. Perfection is never a good thing. Trying to start, because it stems free. Although perfection is great, can never be that perfect. So perfection was my major hurdle, and it brought about fear for me. I was panicking, I was asking myself all of these questions, and because we had started, the three co-founders came together in 2017, and started it. Then all of a sudden we're just trying to be perfect, start with a bang, start like this, use this, coming on the scene like looking like this. And at the end of the day, we went a whole full year, like 2017, 2018, radio silence, because we kept on saying we're going to start with a bang, and we never meant to start with a bang. We doing our own things, fear, gripped in, and all of us were just like, okay. So 2019, we're just like, nope, we are starting whichever way, we're just going to start. And we put perfection behind. We're not trying to be perfectionists anymore. We're just saying we're just going to start. Whatever comes. We'll develop as we continue the journey. And yeah, that was it. That was the biggest for me, the biggest hurdle in my entrepreneurship journey.
All right. Thank you very much. Guys, sorry for
You're
that
welcome.
interruption that we had, but we are all good. Now, what we've gotten from Santha, basically, it's just start. If it's perfect, not perfect,
Just start.
just start. Take the leap and go.
Just start.
All right. Now, we have
Yes.
another question that is for all the panelists. Now, we all know that the path of success is one that is paved with countless challenges, and there's no exception with entrepreneurship. Can you guys remember one or two challenges that made you almost give up on your businesses since you thought about starting it? What kept you going? We can start with Joanna.
Okay, so basically for me, what kept me going has always been the reason why I started in the first place. So every single day, I always get a reminder when something happens, it's always there and present to always remind me of the reason why I started, regardless of any challenges that come in. And in every journey that someone starts, maybe there's always a challenge, whether small or big, it can hit you so hard. Like for instance, I experienced a challenge whereby during the first year, we had received an investment fund, and apparently one of the team members mismanaged that fund, of which that was kind of like really a huge blow on my leadership. Because I was now just new to the space, and then that happens, and you're already handling a big crisis. So, and also the thought of, so how am I going to now face any potential people that have to come through and support the organization if we still have to make progress? But then regardless of that, I had to accept that there's always going to be problems, and I had to really understand how to go about that challenge. And I'm so happy that I made through it, and also the organization made through it all, and we're still here and actually making a lot of progress. But there was so much for me to learn, for instance, how to now make bigger decisions on handling team members that are actually going about doing things that are really inappropriate, and at the same time, even how to handle public relations and still maintaining a reputation of a company. So all those lessons are things that I live by, and nowadays I had to put in several processes or systems within the company that are really strong enough to support the capacity, and also how we improved everything that we're doing, not like before. So basically, it's always important to stick to the reason why you started, and that actually keeps you going as you make progress with your journey. And also learn through the process. Every challenge that comes in, it's important to accept that it's not an easy journey, and as you accept, you learn through the process and become better, and you also become a better leader in the process. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joanna, for that. We can move on to Musa. Musa, kindly take the floor.
Thank you. I think similar to what Joanna has said, it's kind of similar with most entrepreneurs, because the challenge will come, but it also depends. For us in China, it was a bit different because we are in a foreign country. You're a student that time. Legally, as a student, you are not even allowed to engage in entrepreneurship or doing all the things we were doing. So it was a challenge, being a student and also trying to start a startup at that time was a big challenge. But like Joanna said, you have to remain with the purpose, with the why of why you started the whole thing. It keeps you going. And for people who know entrepreneurship, you can't, even though people talk about zero budget entrepreneurship, but even if you are using internet, like today, you are in your house, using internet. It's not zero budget. People say zero budget, but it's not like zero budget because you buy bundles, you buy airtime, you have to pick a car, you move to the other side. So it's not really zero budget. Some form of budget is involved, but that is not shouldn't be an obstacle, even if you don't have it. There are multiple ways to go around it. And I think for us,
Sorry about that. Jean, kindly mute. Thank you. Musa, go ahead.
yeah.
Yes.
So for us, I think one of the China was as a country with the language, with the system, is so difficult. I remember when we were registering our company in China, it was a hell. It was like, what is all this thing about? At every step of the way, it was almost impossible. So for people who don't know much about China, at that time, even the Chinese people, friends that I had at that time, told me certain things we wanted to do is impossible. Like for them, they say impossible to mean even, I thought at a point, I thought these things were written down, impossible things, that you cannot do this, you cannot do that, you cannot do that, you cannot do that. But I realized that it is just people's own impossibilities that they have over time, with experience, they have now decided that this is impossible, so don't even go there. So at the time, that's why personal drive, personal motivation is also very important in the journey of entrepreneurship, because if you don't have that, the challenges will be so many. So if you don't have that personal drive and commitment for whatever you are doing, you will easily drop out. So I remember I didn't speak any Chinese at all. At that time, I didn't know anything. And almost everything you have to go through in China is in Chinese. The language, you go to tax office. I went to tax office and they said, your name is too long. Look at my name. How many letters? About 11 letters. They said, your name is too long. It can't fit in our books. So these are things you have to translate every document into Chinese. You have to, so many things. So these are all a lot of challenges that in China like this put a lot of people away from even thinking about registering. So I think at the time when we registered our company, I realized that many people who have been doing business in China for years were coming to us for consultation because they never dreamt an African can register a successful company legally and operate legally and do all the things we were doing at that time. And so the challenges are there. Like I said, you're a student, whatever situation you find yourself, that situation will pose a challenge for you. And the external challenges as well, whether it's funding, whether it is a system challenge, like I was saying about China. So, and especially in Africa, we all know where the countries we come from. And we all know the enormous challenges that you have to go through, especially for a young person. Yours become even double or triple. So, but I believe that your personal drive, motivation will always prevail beyond those challenges. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Musa. Now, Santha, kindly.
I think on my part, one of the major challenges I faced was letting people's opinions get to me, in terms of, this thing is not, it's not going to work. The Cameroonians are not used to PR, they're not used to public relations. It's not going to work, and you are just, an English speaking Cameroonian. How are you going to conquer the francophone market? And so, obviously these are realities. They are realities. But then, as Wangiwe said, John said, I mean, you can't let people get to you. You have to stay committed to the why of why you started, and that's the main thing that kept me going. The second challenge I really faced was my 9 to 5, working 9 to 5, because I didn't want to leave my comfort zone at all. I was like, nope, I'm going to stay here. I can manage, my time. I can, manage myself, overwork myself to achieve. Although I did that, but it all, obviously you can't cheat nature. You can't also cheat your work. But something somewhere has to pay. And so it really, there was a major part where I went out of touch with almost all my friends, even my best friend, so, and even my family, and that was a heavy price I had to pay. And it was not funny because I am a very family person, and I love my friends to death, but this was a price I had to pay, trying to put this thing together. So I'm going, since I'm still at the 9 to 5 year, but I'm literally going to be leaving this June. So it's more of, being the sacrificial lamb for the greater good, um so that everything goes. And the one thing that's why I keep on saying, I mean, the people who work with you are an asset, and you should treat them with the utmost respect. There's my mentee, also my mentee, whom I took in 2018. She was the main reason, one of the major things in my life. She kept me going. She kept on saying, you can't give up now, because at a certain point I became depressed. I was down. I did not understand why, things were not working. I did so many things for people, and they were making millions off of it. I see companies that I literally started, with people, gave the names, wrote out a whole communications plan, gave them the business ideas, and all of a sudden they were flourishing. And I was seated here like, what's happening? Why am I still in this kind of spot? Everybody says that I'm good, but why am I not, flourishing in my own thing? And so all of these things got to me, and my mentee was like, hey, you cannot give up, you have to keep pushing. Now when I looked at her, I was just like, oh no, I can't be in this space anymore. um I have to push. I have to keep on going. I have to be resilient. I have to have the grit that it needs to keep this machine working. And I looked at Cameroon. I looked at other countries, our neighboring countries, and I'm just like, what? Cameroonians need me more than Cameroon needs me. The people need me, and I need to get on my grind and do this thing. And so that was how I was able to probably conquer, my fears and challenges and all of that.
Hi, Brenda. I can't hear you.
Brenda, we cannot hear you.
I can't hear you.
We can't hear you. While waiting for Brenda, maybe I can start asking you some questions that people already sent in the group chat. And when
Okay.
she'll come back, she'll just ask the questions that she has. So
No.
there is somebody who wants to know what was your financial strength when you started, and how did you guys scale up?
Can I go? My financial strength was zero. Eh? it was it was a zero, a big or a negative, and it was literally a case where you had to look at, your savings and say, hey, uh,
Hello.
I this was planned for something else, but you have to put it in here. So it was a case of transferring my personal money and savings, and everybody trying to bring their own to be able to even go on with registration processes and all of that. So although the 9 to 5 was a big hurdle, but then it served. It helped me. The salary I was getting from there helped me start up this one. But then trust me, financial strength was fat. Oh.
Someone else
All right.
wants to go?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you, Brenda.
Oh, wonderful. So sorry about that. You can continue answering the question Gael asked. Joanna, please.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, before maybe I talk about my own experience with the financial strength aspect, I think every startup story is different. So that's one thing everyone must have in mind, that it will not always be the same. Just because maybe the panelists here tell you their side of the story, and then you expect that it might go your way as well, it will not always be the same. So basically, for me, mainly it was coming from personal savings, and also at the same time, I had various people within my network that I got connected to during the time I was just starting. And lucky enough, there was one person that I met in South Africa that connected me to an investor that was looking to construct a school in Malawi. And from that project, I had received project management fees for the organization, which was about 10% out of it. And that's what mainly we used to set up the office, and also start with the first team that we started with the organization, purchase furniture, and also now create the co-working space that we offer to upcoming entrepreneurs, and also just basically use it to engage with consultants to help us learn and understand some of the various aspects that we're lacking within our knowledge space. So basically, sometimes networks are very important. You need to make sure you leverage them rightfully. You might not have the money, but someone else does have the money. And if you use your networks rightfully, you never know who's going to give you some project or some work that might actually pay you your first capital. So human capital is very important. Besides that, you might require to have financial strength for your startup. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joanna. We'll go to Musa.
Yeah, thank you. And tough one. I think for entrepreneurship, you really need to have your personal savings. You really need to have those savings that, because at the early stage like that, you don't even have a product, you don't even have a service, even maybe the vision and all these things is not really shaped. So those early personal savings have to be there to get you going. But that's, like Joanna said, is not one fit for all solution. It can be different. Personal savings can come from anybody as well. You can literally get this money from your parent, your friend, or anybody around you, or similar to what Joanna got. Also for us, we also, I think until now, I still keep, in China, they tell you, there's a popular saying in China that as a foreigner, before you can start anything in China, you need to have a Chinese partner. But we defiled that statement, but not without having also a strong Chinese friends, because remember, I have 2 Chinese friends in China who, until today, helps you to navigate all the complicated systems in China. So those networks are very, very important if you have them, even if it's not financial, because these 2 friends that I have in China literally led us to so many different resources that ordinary it will take you like hundreds of dollars to have those kind of opportunities. So I remember some of the events that we did, a partnership event. If you come to the event venue, you think that you spend say $100,000 or over that in the event, but this was something that we didn't really have, but we relied on those partnerships, because one thing about entrepreneurship is that look at the advantage you have and also look at the need or the problems or challenge that other people might have. Talk to them and see where you can come to a common place, so that maybe your financial problem will be solved. I remember venues in China will cost you maybe 20,000. This is around say $2,000, $3,000 or so. But we're getting this thing for free because we had partnerships and different levels of partnership that we're able to establish that took care of all the financial aspect that we had to put inside the company at that time. So these things are very important. And maybe along the way, fortunately, you will come across people who will be able to believe in your dreams, believe in what you are fighting for, and who will be able to give you some genuine seed capital to really invest in the business itself. So this is how, early stage, this is how you can go about it.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. I think I'm learning a lot. Personally, I am not an entrepreneur, but I'm seeing I'm getting convinced by our speakers. Now, I have one last question, then we can move to the question and answer session. So for all the speakers, what advice would you give to young Africans today who are considering to start a business but are not sure where to start? We can start with Santha.
Um, you know, everybody and everyone leads a different kind of, you know, situation in their countries, and you know, fighting battles within themselves, and you know, little or more access to investors and capital. But the one thing that I would say is, if you believe in something and you believe and you're convinced that, you know, this is going to change the world, you know, go after your dream, go after it, do everything, work hard, have the right connections, get on social media. Sorry, I'm in PR, I'm into public relations, and I tell people the public relations scene has changed. It's no longer traditional where you need to go to, you know, parties, events, you know, go to offices to prospect. These people, the people that, you know, the angel investors, those who can give you venture capital, all of them happen to be on social networks. And for an app like probably Twitter, they are there, you know, they talk every day, they advise us every day. A perfect example for me, I mean, she's a role model to me, is Rebecca Enonchum, who is like a pioneer techie. We call her the Africa techie. You know, in Africa, that's basically who she is, and she's there every day on the social networks. And I've seen so many people get so many opportunities from her just by, you know, connecting with her on Twitter, talking to her every day. You know, her DMs are open. People go there and, you know, hey, please, can you help me with this? Can you, you know, do this for me? And she's always there. I mean, people are migrating to the digital, so it's no longer waiting, or who will I get onto the social networks, get onto LinkedIn, you know, network yourself, sell yourself, believe, first of all, believe in your dream, believe that this is going to happen and go after it. Network. I mean, there's a vast pool. Every day I see testimonies of, CEOs of Fortune 500 companies saying how they literally just hired people off of LinkedIn just because they were pushful and, they were coming to them and saying things and they were like, no, I have to hire this person. What about the guy who created quoted replies on Twitter, just for the fact that, he put himself out there and his thing was Jack of this, that's the CEO of Twitter, came to Nigeria and someone called him, from the inside, like, yo, Jack is going to be here. I need you to come. This guy was not even prepared. He was in his room just sleeping and waiting for the day his big break was going to come. And someone had to call him, like, get on now. And he got on a bike and went to the place, and now he's an employee of Twitter. So it's a case where you have to put yourself out there. Nobody is going to come and look for you in the comfort of your home. The digital space is very open. At the same time, it's garbage in, it's garbage out. But you have to put the right type of garbage in for you to be noticed, for you to network, for you to get, the angel investors, the venture capital, whatever you have to do to be able to succeed. Believe in yourself, build yourself up, sell yourself on social media perfectly, get the right people, network around you, use your database, whatever, connect, connect, connect. I will never stop saying this enough, because I would say from a personal standpoint, majority of my clients, I'm just actively 1 year into entrepreneurship, and majority of the clients that I've got came from one social network, majorly, predominantly, which was Twitter. And it's just for the fact that, I'm not, I always hope I'm not ashamed to sell my business. It's my business at the end of the day. If I don't promote myself, if I don't speak about it, who is going to do it for me? And from that experience, you could get people even though these people did not have, let's say, or need my services, but they were able to recommend me to another person, and it turns around and you see people calling from here and there saying, could you handle this? Because as I said, this thing is fairly new in Cameroon. So I did not even know. People are telling me, like, you guys realize that you guys are pioneering what a PR industry should look like? And this is something that is big, and we did not see it from that standpoint. We're just, going off of the fact that we need to change the narrative about our country, and it's blowing up. 1 year, as I said, I'm remotely a Musa or Joanne, but we are growing, and it's picking up steam. And all I could say to those young Africans, believe in yourself, please. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Ask, ask, ask. It's not for anything that people get connected on the social networks. Ask for help as much as you can, and connect yourself, sell yourself on the social networks, and let God see you through.
Wonderful, wonderful, guys. I hope you've been touched by that. You need to sell yourself. And in today's time, where you have people who are very active online, I think being active online would help in personal brand.
Brenda, we still have hard time hearing you. Yeah. So, yes. So I think we can just have Musa go next and answer that question.
My mic is on now.
Yes, we can hear you, Musa.
Yes, okay. So I give a strong thumbs up to what Santa has just said. And fortunately, I was able to record the 4 minutes that she was speaking. I'm going to send it to people who have come to me for this kind of direction. I think for many young people, we have not really taken advantage of the few things that we have. I think if you look at the entrepreneurial stories that we all read and continue to read from elsewhere, it's not so different. The environment might be different, but I think we have to also start building and growing from somewhere, because if you go to the US, this is a system that has lasted for say 300 years. How old is our systems? We don't even have those systems yet. And so for young people who want to start something here, we can't just complain. We can't just rely on other people. We have to really rely on ourselves. And we all know our education system can't do much for us. And if you are an entrepreneur or you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to go the extra mile, develop yourself, and see what opportunities you can have and take it. Social media, like Santa said, is one of the most powerful tools today. For those of you who have been following us, I have returned from China on late January this year, and we have had a very strategic plan on how to, because I am thinking of moving back to the continent to continue the entrepreneurship journey here. So I've had a whole day meeting with about 5 different partners in China before I moved here. And we had big projects that we were coming to execute. And before I could arrive in Ghana, I heard there's Corona in China. So that part was blocked. And before I could also even start something in Ghana, there's Corona here, and Ghana is blocked. So you are stuck in the middle. And at that point, it was like, what the hell is happening? Where do I go from here? So both sides, like Ghana, Africa is blocked, China, global, everything is blocked. So, and you have left everything to jump into it. So for me, it's very important that we take advantage of what opportunities have. I think one thing we did during the lockdown, one time I was home just to think about what is possible, what is possible. I was just super confused and just almost giving up at that point. And I said, what is possible? And like what Santa said, something just pricked me and said, this is lockdown. This is digital space. What else do you have? I had connections, I had some ideas, put a proposal together, start reaching out. And now those of you who have participated, we have had about almost 2 months running on the Beyond Coronavirus series that we have hosted big and top leaders in business, in policy, in government, in private sector across Africa and across the world on our webinar. And this was one small idea that we had. So you really need to go beyond the challenges that you see and then take advantage. And I'll always come back to what Santa said. You need to reach out. Most of our panelists I've gotten so far, I've just written to them on LinkedIn. Just write a short message to them, explain myself a bit, ask for their email, ask for their contact number. Some were sharing them, some didn't share, some turned it down. So this is what you experience, and you have to make do. And fortunately, I have some few also connections within the continent and reach out to friends. So one of the things I've done really well within this lockdown period was reaching out on social media, connecting to my friends, connecting to people that I don't know, sending them a business profile and exploring different opportunities with them. So for young people, please, and I know it's not only young people who are here, there are also other older people who might also, entrepreneurship doesn't have age. It's not about how old you are or how young you are. As far as you are driven, as far as you know what you are doing, just go for it and jump on it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me. I'm so sorry for the sound issues. Now we can go to Joanna. Then we do the question and answer quickly as we are running out of time.
Okay, thank you, Brenda. So basically for me, I think for those looking to venture into entrepreneurship, my advice would be to start. If you have an urge, it's important to start. I don't think you need someone to actually give you that advice to say, well, you need to start. If you just have that urge, it's important to start. And actually, it's also important to strengthen your psychological mindset, because you need to brace yourself for the fact that you not always experience positive aspects, but there will also be negative aspects, including failure. And it's very okay for you to fail as well. It doesn't mean it's the end of the world. Whatever you go through, it's important to learn through the process and also invest in your learning aspect. So make sure you align yourself with a hub, an incubator, accelerator program that will actually strengthen your capacity for you to be able to understand some business values as well as professional values you need to have as you run your business. And at the same time, being a part of a community is able to bring you various opportunities, and also you'll be able to learn from other people that have actually thrived within that space. So always invest your time to learn and to network as you are a part of a community within the journey. And lastly, I would say don't be scared. This is not a space that you should be scared of. It's just any other career. You feel alone at some point, but it's always important to surround yourself with people that really support you, that bring you that positive energy and give you that whole hype that you can do this, and you have so much energy to make progress as you go if you always surround yourself with people that give you their positive energy. Otherwise, thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much to our speakers. I'm sure everyone has learned something. So I'm going to ask some questions to the panelists, the ones that are in the chat room right now. Now, I'm going to start with a question from Eric, and I may just have to direct this to one panelist because we don't have so much time. So let me ask Joanna. Eric is asking, is there monetary gain in your establishment?
Yes, there actually is monetary gain within my establishment. So basically it comes in various aspects. First of all, as much as I'm the founder, I also work as the executive director. So basically I do get paid by the company. And at the same time, I'm able to also secure various other opportunities that come with it that give me opportunities to make money as a consultant in several ways. And lastly, I've also been able to use part of the investment that we received from various sources to also invest in another business, which will basically start this year. So that has been one of the other benefits that came with it, to say from this, I'm also able to raise money for another business, which will also be able to support me financially. So it's always important as a leader to look for any other opportunity. You might not always get paid because as a startup, you're always the one investing in the business, but there's also something that comes back to you as you make progress. And just make sure you put it to good use and you keep building something that is going to continue to give you that value. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joanna. Now I'll move on to a question that is directed to Musa. Musa, Joanne Chepngeno is asking, how were you able to start up with limited finances?
I think finance, that's especially for us, Gael is here. We will, I remember when we were starting, one of our first projects was a social initiative. There wasn't any financial aspect of it for us to gain at that time. Even though if we have been in business for a long time, we could have tried to make money, but at that time, we were just interested in making an impact. And I remember the first project that we had demanded that we put in some money, some way, somehow, even though we put in some money from our own pockets, but it wasn't that much. One of the significant things we got was, like I said, was a partnership from somebody who think what we're doing was important, and they also needed it. So we got that partnership that solved our financial issue at our first project. And following that, you get exposure, and then you get more, expand more, and attract more partnerships. In those partnerships, try to cut down your own, even if you are using your own personal finances, it cuts down those, because I remember we were at the point when we started, we were doing a lot of events, and we were also very stubborn with the fact that we needed to make Africa proud, and we needed to do something that people will come and see, wow, this is not common. So even though we didn't have the money, but we were very stubborn in what we wanted to achieve. And so because of that, we also struggled because of what our standards were. But ultimately, we found the right partners who met our needs, who met our demands, and we were able to, at the initial stage, we were able to resolve some of the financial issues. And going forward, we are currently trying to get a lot of investment from different people. We have had some investment, we have turned some of them down because of the vision, because of the why that we exist. Sometimes not all investment that might support your vision in the long term. So as an upcoming entrepreneur, you shouldn't be in a hurry, you shouldn't be jumping onto all opportunities. Some opportunities might not be able to serve the why or the vision or the interest that you are standing to defend. So at the beginning, that is how we started. It was, let me say, it was basically partnership, and now we are moving on to bigger funding sources that will we will use to scale up and also grow the business forward.
All right, thank you very much, Musa. Now I'll direct this question to Santa. Patrick or Diego has a concern that there is a severe lack of creative, deliberate funding of mining assets. How do we as a community bridge this choking issue and liberate wealth?
If I have to be candid, it's not a problem peculiar to a country. It's an African problem where there is no merge or bridge between creators, the industry, the investors. And so that's why I'll give you a very candid example. Researchers in the university, Africa is such, a continent in terms of funding their researchers. And so the industry doesn't meet the creators, it doesn't meet the researchers, it doesn't meet these people who come up with ideas that can better foster the continent. The industry is very aloof about these things. And so this is where what we are trying to do in terms of PRing is in terms of bridging this gap, telling these people, hey, enough is enough. We know it's your money, but if you want to be better, if you say Africa, if you want to be the Wakanda continent that you desire to be, it's time to put your money where your mouth is. It's time to invest into the creators. It's time to invest into the researchers, because this is the only way. If we are funded, if Africans funded Africans, then I'm sorry, we wouldn't be a consumption continent. Will be more of a production continent, and that's the main reason why things are the way they are in this continent. So I just feel it's more of, we need to create more initiatives on talking to the powers that be, talking to the people who have the capital, and bringing these creatives to the forefront and say, hey, this is an idea, this is something that is great, could you invest in this? And there needs to be more of that action coming from the continent, changing that mindset, rather than letting things and say, oh, Africa is Africa, you know, what it is, whatever has to be. But there needs to be, first of all, a mind change on both parties, and then, you know, actually pushing hard for, you know, the investors to meet the creatives, and for the creatives to go up and, you know, have accessibility to these funders, investors, or whatever they call themselves. So for me, I feel that's a way to go about it.
All right, thank you so much for that. Now, this is a question from Eric to all of you, but I will just give you a slight opportunity to answer. And I would like to give all the panelists an opportunity to send their profiles and social links of all their businesses to the WhatsApp group so that everyone can see. So Eric is asking, are your establishments registered? Just keep it short and sweet. We can start with Joanna.
Yes, so we are registered. So basically, we're registered as a company limited by guarantee because we do run as a social enterprise. So basically, we do make money as the business side. Then we also run social impact projects. So we are registered as a company limited by a guarantee because Malawi does not have a formal registration for a social enterprise. So we're still trying to lobby for the development of a social enterprise act currently. So hopefully by the end of this year, we're able to get that. Thank you.
All right, we can move to Santa.
Just like Joanne said, we are registered as a PLTD, so it's we are a definitely registered business because there's no way you can carry out business in Cameroon without registering. And in Cameroon, the business laws are more strict on, you know, creating that space. But then it becomes a case where once you get into the system, then you realize that the taxes don't help you at all. You know, instead of bringing down the taxes, we get, you know, taxes spiking by the year, and it really kills businesses. This is one major thing that kills entrepreneurship in Cameroon, the taxes. So we are definitely registered. We're registered as a private limited, and we hope to scale up because the dream is to become a franchise in Africa. So you know, wherever it is that, you know, public relations, and the dream has to be, then we think of opening up someday, and you know, to the public, for people to buy shares in it, and, you know, run it throughout Africa. So for now, that's what we are doing.
Thank you very much. And Musa. Hello, Musa.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So in China, we are registered. That was in 2018. I think at that time we were one of the few registered Africa-owned and even foreign-owned enterprises around that time. And so China, we are registered as a company, and then in Ghana, we are also registered as a company limited by liability because we are fully a company, even though we have a social impact um, deeply embedded in everything that we do, but we are registered as a company limited by liability in Ghana as well. So the Ghana office is expected to cover Africa. And if you've seen all the activities we do, we cover Africa. And the China office is also to cover China and Africa cooperation.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Musa. Now, Joanna, we have a question directed to you. Andrew Mlepo is asking, what's the great impact Mzuzu has had so far?
Okay, so probably I will take so long on that, but to make it short, the main aim that we established in Zuzu eHub was to actually have a community of young people that are actually developing various solutions for various challenges within their community. And through our business incubation program, we've been able to incubate up to 40 startups, and they're able to now create various job opportunities for other young people within their communities, and even create a better environment in terms of transforming livelihoods from access to food, access to health services, or educational services. So that's one of the amazing impact that we've had. And the second one could be that we also have been investing in education and health projects within the communities. And so far we have constructed a school in one community called Chipunga. So basically we constructed a community secondary school where there are now 52 students that are able to have access to education, and also a health facility that is allowing the community to access quality services than before, because they had to travel longer distances to get to a place where they could access a hospital or a school. So in a nutshell, that's also something that we've had as an impact. And probably lastly, it's just building a community and also contributing highly to the innovation ecosystem for Malawi has been quite amazing, and an impact that we celebrate every day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joanna. Now, guys, I have to ask the last question, then we can close our event in a short while. Now, the last question will go to Musa as he works with the Ghanaian government. So Davis has a question, and his question is, most politicians in Africa are fond of giving out loans to the youth towards election period. This is killing seriousness on business ventures among them. How are you dealing with this, just in case you are in the same experience, and how it is in your country?
Yeah, thank you. I think that's one of the big issues that young people have to face in Africa, because if you have the potential, if you are doing something big, then obviously you have to belong to a political party by default or by force. So it's either you join or you are coerced to join. But I think for us, we are trying to stay away from politics, even though, our philosophy is to work with government and to work with individuals, work with companies, work with corporates. So we are not really here to serve any political party. So whatever we do with the government is purely business, and we are doing it for the sake of developing our people and developing, being part of of change. So that is a challenge that all of us have to go through. So we are trying to avoid being associated with any political party, and trying to stay and work with anybody who comes to us, as far as the business is good and it aligns with our corporate philosophy and values and all that. So yes, it's easy, and it's easy money. You can get that money easily if you want. This political money is easy to get, but we are not trying to get it. And hopefully we will find decent ways and better ways to work with the government and still keep to the ethics that brought us here.
All right, thank you so much, Musa. Now, I'm afraid we have come to the close of this event. I really hope that everyone has learned. We can see in the chat room, there are some people who have given their closing remarks and how they're appreciating the event, which is quite good. So now I'd like to hand it over to Gael, who is the founder of TSC Hub and my boss. Yes, she can give us our closing remarks and close the meeting. Gael, kindly.
Yeah.
Just before Gael comes in,
Okay.
I just want to review a secret before we close. So Gael is Gael is the first person actually I spoke to in China about Japa Africa. And she's actually a co-founder as well, and she's been part of the team all this while. So she's also aware of the story. And Gail, thank you for being a wonderful co-founder.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Brenda, for moderating. Thank you to the panelists. I learned a lot as well. So I know it was helpful because I can see the comments even now. I know also that we were not able to answer the questions of everyone because it's a bit hard to cover everything in 1 hour and a half. The good thing is that they gave us their websites, they gave us their social media. So any questions you have, you can still reach out to them. This is not the end. You can still, the idea is to help collaborations among African youth. So we hope that, you know, you can connect with the speakers after as well. And I can see this question coming about the skills that entrepreneurs can have. And it's something that we are also really focused on at TSC Hub. And hopefully we'll organize other webinars in the future that will try to cover these different aspects that we didn't touch in today. So you can just stay tuned and try to check out our social media regularly, and then you'll get all information about our upcoming webinars. Thank you so much, guys, for being here today, for attending until the end. If you have any questions as well, you can also send in the WhatsApp group, and I'll make sure that I forward it to the speakers, and you know, just get back to you as you want. Yeah, I think that's it, right? Thank you, and I really hope to see you guys next time during our next webinar. Thank you, Joanna, Musa, Santa, Brenda. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you
Bye,
for having
guys.
us. Thank
It's
you
so
for
nice
having
to
us.
have so many people from all over Africa here today. So yeah, thank you so much, guys, and all the best on your projects. You know, as other speakers said, if you are thinking about doing it, just start. You know, start, and then you never know what you're going to get tomorrow. So we're just looking forward to hearing more about what you guys have been able to achieve in the future. Have a good evening or night or whatever it is now in your country. Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
Thank
you.
you too.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
See you next
Good evening.
time.
Mhm.
Bye bye.